we are now in the last international break of the year. England will play Albania and Serbia in their last World Cup qualifiers, but Myles Lewis-Skelly won't be playing in them. He was snubbed from Thomas Tuchel's England squad. I think Tuchel has been very hot on calling up players who are playing regularly for their clubs. Of course, Lewis-Skelly did get in October, but his situation has not improved since then, so he's out the squad now. Was it a decision that you expected?
I think, yeah, I wasn't sure, put it that way, but the writing seemed a little bit on the wall given Tuchel's comments in the last camp, and he said that, he gave a very public warning to Myles Lewis-Skelly at that point. And as you said, his minutes haven't really improved since then. I do think it's a little bit harsh, though. It's not like he's not been playing at all. He has been playing. He's got minutes, and when he's played very well. It was only a few weeks ago that he ran Atletico Madrid ragged in the Champions League. So it's not like he's out in the cold at Arsenal. He's just not an absolute guaranteed starter anymore at Arsenal. But he's a 19-year-old kid, so he shouldn't really be that. You'd have to be very, very special to be absolute guaranteed to be starting at a club like Arsenal when you're a 19-year-old. So I think it's a little bit harsh. I think it would potentially hurt him Tuchel. He's making the decision to sort of hurt the team and hurt the squad, because I think, looking at the other options on the left-hand side, I think Myles Lewis-Skelly offers you something that others don't, and be really, really valuable for this England squad going forward. So I'd still want him involved in the World Cup, I have to say, as an England fan. Maybe that's a little bit of Arsenal bias coming through for me. I don't know, but I would. I just think he offers something a little bit different than everyone else and the options that he's looking at that left-hand side. So I'm not overly surprised, but I don't really agree with the decision, I have to say.
Yes, I mean, looking at those options that England do have on the left, they have got lots of players who can play there, the likes of Nico O'Reilly, Dan Burn, Jed Spence, Lewis Hall's coming back, or then again not playing much. Luke Shaw has stayed fit this season, but he's playing more centrally for United. But of course, we know he can play on the left very well. So it is. I agree. I want to see Lewis-Skelly at the World Cup as well, because he can bring something completely different to this England side. But if his situation doesn't improve, Calafiori's playing so well. If he stays fit, if Hincapié stays fit, Arteta's really talked him up as well. Are you a bit fearful for Lewis-Skelly's World Cup chances?
Yeah, you'd have to say yes, I think, now, because some of those players you mentioned probably are going to play more than him between now and the end of the season, unless there's some injuries for Arsenal players, which obviously we hope doesn't happen. So I am fearful, but I also look at it as, well, he's 19. He's got plenty of World Cups left in him as well. The only reason we're sort of talking about Lewis-Skelly and potentially going to the World Cup is because of such an unbelievable sort of trajectory uplift that he had last season that none of us were expecting. He was so far ahead of schedule in terms of what he did last season when he sort of got the chance because of injuries. So there's plenty of World Cups left in for Lewis-Skelly. If he was to miss this one, I'm sure he'd be disappointed, but it's not the end of the world. He will go to a World Cup. He will go to European Championships. That's going to happen because he's that good. You don't have to do it all at 19 years old. That's very, very young. I mean, some of the players you're talking about there as potential options. How old are some of those players? So there's plenty of international tournaments left for Lewis-Skelly to be involved in if he doesn't go to the World Cup this summer. So it's not a huge concern, even though I would obviously like it to happen.
Certainly, yeah. I think he's got at least a good 15, maybe even 20 years ahead of him if he stays fit, doesn't get any major injuries, keeps playing well. But looking at his minutes this season so far, he still hasn't started a single game in the Premier League. He's played just, I think, 86 minutes in the top flight, and then was also overlooked against Slavia Prague in the Champions League, where Hincapié started in place of him. He is still so young, like you said, but given the breakthrough he had last season, have his sort of lack of minutes in the Premier League especially surprised you?
Yeah, well, it definitely surprised me, but I think that was mainly due to because I wasn't expecting Calafiori to stay fit for the whole season and to play as well as he had. When you look at what Calafiori's doing, you look at Arsenal's record in the Premier League this season defensively, it's very hard to argue against Mikel Arteta going the way that he has gone this season. The results and the stats and the numbers suggest he's getting it absolutely right. So if you'd have asked me this in July, and you said that Myles Lewis-Skelly wouldn't even have made 90 minutes yet in the Premier League by where we are now, I'd have said no chance. Of course he's not. He's going to start at Old Trafford, but Arteta's gone a different way, and at the moment it's working. So yeah, I am surprised, but the numbers don't lie.
Personally, yeah, I mean, all credit to Ricardo Calafiori. He's been immense this season at left back, or if you can even call it left back, the way he pops up everywhere on the pitch. But I liken Lewis-Skelly's situation a bit to Ethan Nwaneri. He had that breakthrough last season. He's not played so much this season. Both signed new long-term contracts, but like we say, they are still in their teenage years. And I always look at Barcelona and the likes of Ansu Fati and Pedri and Gavi, players who have played so many minutes in their teenage years and at such a young age, and then their bodies are just continuously failing them now. And even Lamine Yamal, he's now got this chronic groin problem. So, do you think that's also a big factor in Arteta's decisions not to play them as much as they were last season?
It might be. I mean, with Arteta, I'd probably say no, but I mean, it probably should be. If it's not, like you said, some of the examples you've given there, it is when you're playing players that young, when their body's still, not developed yet, completely developed yet, and they're still growing. It's the research suggests you're opening them up for potential problems down the line. So I think that needs to be taken into account. I don't think this is a bad thing for them. I really don't. I know we want to see them play because we've got that emotional connection with them because they're Hale End boys and we've seen them come through and they were so exciting last season when they came through. But this isn't a bad thing for them. This is all part of a learning process. The average age of, I saw it like Downman. Everyone's saying Downman should be playing more. Lewis-Skelly should be playing more. Nwaneri should be playing more. I think the average age of those three is like 16 or something when you sort of, which is crazy. They don't need to be playing week in, week out at the moment. It's all about developing, doing the best for them, making sure that their bodies are healthy and everything like that. So it's not the worst thing in the world to maybe take a step back when you've had a sudden surge like certainly Myles had last season. None of us could have predicted what he was going to do. Get into the team, make that position his own, become England's first choice left back, score in your England debut. It doesn't always go like that. It's impossible to go like that. Sometimes you need to level out or almost take a step back before going again. So this isn't a bad thing. I really don't think it's a bad thing for them.